Welcome to the Thoughts on Why podcast with your hosts, Jess and Allie. Discussion, all things Yuri and Yaoi, and how we feel about all the hype. Sit back and relax as we discuss all things why. Okay, so first and foremost, disclaimer, if you are a victim of sexual assault, sexual violence in any shape or form, whether it be verbal or emotional.
Also work sexual
Yes,
harassment.
work sexual harassment, friends, and this will easily trigger you. Please click off the podcast. But we're going to get into that tough topic of sexual harassment, but more so when it happens to actors and idols, and it's made to be a joke. It's made to be something like funny, lighthearted. Like, oh, it's okay because, it's just something we do. And I want to make sure, I bring up what culture, really means, because that is something that a lot of people use to get away with a lot of their actions, and that is something that happens in any form of culture, in Spanish culture, in Black, it doesn't matter. It happens. It's their greatest weapon. It's like their easiest way to get in. Is the whole I'm older than you, I know more than you. You should know that what I'm doing is not meant to be meant that way. But okay, so just for the definition of culture, the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarding collectively the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. And then just as a verb, so there are two nouns, as a verb, a main tissue cells, bacteria, in conditions suitable for growth. And the person that did the bad thing's a bad culture. But, so someone's culture and you enjoying someone's culture is you enjoying their music, their history, their food, especially when it dates back years and years, and they keep it the same way. They use like the same formula, the same method, and you enjoy that as someone outside looking into someone's culture. But with the situation that happened, as an outsider looking in, that was not okay. That was very uncomfortable to watch. The actor should have never had to go through that. The individual who was involved, which is an MC, she should have never thought that was okay and thought that was funny. Because again, this is invading someone's space. This is invading a human being's space. This is not about, well, you're young and I'm older. I'm a human being, you're a human being. Because if he would have reacted in the way that I know I would have reacted, that would have been the headline news. It wouldn't have been what she's done. It would have been what he did, which would have been like swiping at her or pushing her away or even cursing at her. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And when you mix up that word culture and go, well, that's their culture. No, that's not their culture. Their cultural practice is not to go to some older person and deck them in the face, which happens a lot in America. Okay? Their cultural practices when it comes to something like that, culturally saying, well, we've grown up wanting to respect our elders, does not give your elder the green light to touch you any way they can and go, well, you're younger than me, I don't mean it like that, so then why are you touching me?
And we're not going to say names, but to put some context, Jesus, I can't talk. It is a newer actor in BL with a recent drama. And it was it a live stream?
I think it was a live,
yeah. For a product?
Yes, it was.
I believe it was a skincare product as well. I didn't know much about it. Look, Allie did send it to me and I watched it. It was very disturbing that the host shoved her entire face into that man's armpit to sniff after people had already said stop doing it, like the people that were watching the stream and commenting.
Yes.
He visibly looked shook. And there was somebody, I don't know if it was his staff or the staff for the stream, her staff, or the staff for the product, but somebody did come on screen and was like telling her to relax.
Yeah, you noticed that because I noticed that there was somebody on screen that started to pull her away.
Like he walked onto the screen, like he wasn't in camera shot, but he walked there. She was already yelling at the fans, making comments about how she should quit it, and it was uncomfortable and all that stuff. She was yelling at them. The staff came on and tried to pull her away. She kept yelling, pulled her arm away, and then shoved her entire face in this man's armpit.
Thank you.
She rolled up his sleeve, because it wasn't like he was wearing a sleeveless shirt. He was wearing a t-shirt. He rolled up his sleeve, raised his armpit, and then shoved her face into his armpit and motorboated his armpit. Like, who does that?
Yes, that shit was so... That was the part that also upset me, because, like, even after they had pulled her away, she still went back in and started to pull at his clothes again. And this poor kid is literally pulling his shirt down. And again, you always want to go, well, if the roles were reversed. Well, guess what? The fucking roles were reversed. And this time you saw a man on a live with clips that are still always going to be online have his whole space invaded. And after everything was said and done, he still had to be the one to apologize. He still had to be the one to make amends, which is 10 times more ridiculous, because how do you make the victim, like, because the victim's fans were just such an inconvenience,
which
calling you out?
The woman, I don't know her pronouns, but the person literally came out and made a statement after, and they doubled down. They doubled down and was like, well, I'm older than him, and because I'm so old, I don't even have any more sexual desires. One, that's not necessarily how that works. You can be older and still have sexual desires.
Exactly.
Age and sexual desires going away don't necessarily go together, okay? Because as somebody that has worked with old people, they still get it in.
Oh, heck yeah. Listen, here's the thing, like, and listen, and this is coming from my mom. So, when my child was a baby, my child could pretty much do no wrong. Everything was fucking adorable, okay? My child got into a whole tub of Dustin cream and made herself look like Pepe Le Pew, okay? She just had a streak of white across her face, slicked up into her hair. I still have the picture because I thought it was absolutely adorable and hilarious. But at the same time, I still knew to tell my daughter, that's not good. You're not supposed to do that, you know? And with old people, it's like, oh my god, they're so cute and they're so old. They can still be predators. It's worse because they have seen years, you know? They have grown up in a time, in a generation, where that shit was okay. They did that shit to us as kids. Like, that shit was.
But it's also
abnormal.
Like they've lived this long. They absolutely know what they can and cannot do.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So them
absolutely.
using the old people card doesn't necessarily work. So this person using the fact she's old doesn't work. Just because you're old doesn't mean it's okay. Just because you're old doesn't mean you don't have sexual desires. And just because you're old doesn't mean you're allowed to touch them. And when they said, I didn't even want to touch them, then why did you do it?
Exactly. Like, this wasn't planned. This wasn't like some skit. It's not like you had brought him off to the side and was like, hey, listen, are you comfortable with A, B, and C? You know, because then if the actor himself would have come out and said, no, guys, listen, I know it looked a little, it was a skit. I knew about it. I approved it. And yes, you can take that with a grain of salt if you want. If you're like, no, that was his management that said it. But not all things are a conspiracy theory as well. So you also have to take that into account. Not everything is a fucking conspiracy theory. But this was blatant. Like I said, this is like you walking down the street and you see some woman shove her hands down a man's pants and he's doing everything in his power to pull her off without harming her. Because if she doesn't want to get in trouble, all she has to do is cry assault. which is it's a sick and sad thing, but yeah, she will, and she'll get away with it, and he'll be in the wrong because if he bruises her, breaks her wrist, anything, you know, you're looking at something and you're like, wow, and it's sad, but a lot of us are very bystander like, and we won't say anything, you know, we won't do anything. It'll be just like, how unfortunate, hope that person heals, you know, prayers up. We won't do anything. And I'm holding myself accountable too. So nobody here is holding a mighty grail, but this is also why we're making this podcast. And I wanted to make sure this podcast was made because we say we love these actors, but this actor thought he was going to get some type of justice. His company said they were going to make sure that some type of justice was done. The company that, like, she was under, whatever, same thing, only for us to see him sit and give her a fucking basket of oranges, and is whining and saying sorry. And yes, okay, yes, there's that, you know, that, you know, she's even my P. She's even older than me. So yes, but this is also why as you can see, I'm not disrespecting her, and there's like 99 words I know that could make her feel like complete and utter shit, and I would personally send her this podcast just so she could hear everything. I would do that. The pettiness in me would do that. But the part of me that wants to bring attention to this says, don't stoop low, but bring attention to this, because this can always have a domino effect of where fans will go, yeah, but if you're okay with it, why can't we touch you? And
I'm gonna say this, I don't necessarily know if that man really believed he was gonna get justice, or if all companies involved just said what they needed to say to have, you know, fans shut up about it.
Oh yeah, because whatever, shut up about.
I used to model, and the way we would be fondled, touched, approached, and even if we told our agents, if it, depending on who was involved, even if the person that did it was a no-name person, but they had big backers, none was gonna happen. And most likely we were gonna have to apologize to the person or just never work with that person ever again.
Exactly. So, and that's exactly what's gonna happen here. What's gonna happen here is that they're waiting for this all to blow over, because if this doesn't blow over and way more actors start to come out, you know, and they start to want to be like, you know, this has happened to me even before we started recording the live type situation, you know, like, or after we finished recording, such and such situation happened, but like, you know, I'm on the contract, you know, and again, let's emphasize that for a lot of these actors, this is just a gig for them, but then for a lot of people, they do want to be actual actors, and they do want to be able to explore different avenues when it comes to acting. So yes, they do want to do gay roles, horror roles, murderous roles, roles based on true events, roles on historical figures. They want to do that because that is how you get your acting chops. That is how you get your acting resume to where it needs to be, where people are like, you know what? This person could probably do this upside down. And it's true. And the sick part is that there are so many perverted people in the industry that have that power that, as an actor, you can't sit there and tell someone, you know, because again, you told that person was like, oh yeah, that's so much stuff that happened, but you don't know if that person is not going to let the person that did it to you, let them know, and now they can do the proper damage control, you know, or the person that you told tells you, well, just let it go, because that person has bigger ties than you do. And that goes into what she said in her goddamn statement when she started to name big names that she knew. And pretty much, she made it seem, right, that, these actors that, like, you know, that she knows, like, what she considered big name actors, which I also noticed all the people that she named have never done a BL. They've all just done nothing but heterosexual work. She didn't name not one BL actor to be like, you know, like, oh, I would never do this to this individual or that individual. No, she named people that are big names.
On that, I will have to say, a lot of people don't know, but I know you know, is that BL isn't really that big of a genre over there.
Oh yeah.
So even the big name, air quote, BL actors are not considered big names.
They're not until they transfer over to a heterosexual.
And even then, they don't always get big.
Oh yeah, because again, you're just not to be rude, but half of you are just pretty faces. I am sorry. When I follow actors, I follow them for acting. I don't follow them because they're freaking pretty. Right. You could be pretty and a damn rapist. What the fuck is that supposed to do for me? The hell?
I am gonna say though, what I do believe is when she named those names, it was mostly to shut him up. And I'm going to say she wouldn't have done this even for a BL actor. She wouldn't have done this for a BL actor with a larger fan base and that was more popular and that was rich outside of acting.
Oh yeah, without a that because she said it. She like literally in her thing, she's like, "Oh, who is he? Who is okay? Oh, so then as an MC, you're trying to tell me you suck because you did no background research on anything. What did they just tell you? Oh, he was in this BL, blah blah blah. They're gonna need some promotion, yada yada yada, and you just like went with it. So you did nothing. You did no type of research to be able to say, oh, well, you know what? This person is actually like really talented, right? Or this person's up and coming. Like nothing. And I don't want to be mean, but even the way that she was dressed told me that her mindset was like she was trying to. It's gonna sound weird, but she was trying to be down with the kids. Like there was no professionalism there. And I know that she's a comedian. I know that much about her. I know that's like where her avenue is. Like she's a comedian. Not everything's fucking funny. And touching someone is not money. And oh my god, it was like I can't get over his face because he looked like he couldn't hide his discomfort. He couldn't hide like the pleading in his eyes. Like he couldn't hide anything. And then you had him say sorry and like, oh my god. Like even like that interaction between them seemed really awkward. Because it looked like she knew she fucked up as well. And now she's forced to damage control as well. But she's happy because like, again, he was put more at fault because of his fans. Because they were calling her out on her shit. And they were trying to, even try to push the whole, you're all international fans, you don't understand, like, our way of life or, like, how we live and shit. But again, you're not a culture of people that touch people with force and for shits and giggles and for laughs. Because again, that's not in what country. An invasion of someone's space is a lie.
And I know there's not a lot of people talking about it on social media, and I feel like his fans are doing that on purpose just to kind of get it to go away. Because there's no up in for him. He had to apologize, and I feel like his fans are like, well, that was wrong, so we're just gonna not talk about it. Which I find is perfectly fine. They talked about it when it happened. They tried to get him justice. It didn't work. They did the best they could. And I feel like for this particular topic, there's not much we can say other than it's wrong. If you see it, you should speak up about it, in person and online. And those that do it should be held accountable. And that's really all we could say. And other than, I really do hope that he is okay. So I feel like there's really not much we can do at this point other than talk about it and bring awareness to it and say that it's wrong. But in the end, I feel like the reason his own fans are no longer talking about it anymore is because they saw how it was handled. And there's nothing else to be said or done because nobody is gonna come back and fix it. Nobody's gonna come back and give him justice. At this point, it's a moot point because whatever happened, that's what happened.
Yeah, but that's the part, like I said, that saddens me. I know nothing can be done. Realistically, I know nothing can be done. I'm not saying anything can be done. What I'm saying is that it shouldn't stop anyone from speaking about it because again, As long as you keep the podcast up, people are gonna keep listening. You get it? As a reactor, that reaction is up, you know, or that video of you speaking about this, bringing this to attention, you know, letting people know, you know, you don't have to say their name like how we're not saying his name on here. But yeah, you can leave the links down below so they can click on certain tweets and see it for themselves and make this decision for themselves. And again, it goes back to this person cannot escape this. Right now, yes, she's kind of chilling on the situation because they probably just, you know, like you said, let it go. Like, okay, it's over. All right. He said he's sorry. You did whatever you had to do. And like I said, it's that cultural thing because again, it even happens. It happens out here. Respect your elders. Don't disrespect your elders. They can cross your boundaries. They can cross that every day. Don't you dare try to defend yourself. You're not a human being. Like, that's the thing. And that's how she came out to him. That is how she came out about the whole situation at the end of the day. And again, that old shit is tired. It's boring. It doesn't matter in what country. You're not gonna sit there and, I'm sorry, but at that point, it's like, hey, like you said, I'm a foreigner. Don't touch me. You know? Like, from my end, I know I can definitely do it, you know? I know I can even go on TV and straight out call her ass out. And then it becomes a thing. Because it's like, oh shit, look what she did to someone who's a visitor in our country, you know? But it's like, because he's not a visitor, he lives there, he's an actor there, this is his career and everything. It's like, know your place, don't cross it any more than you need to, you know? Like, you're gonna get mistreated. It happened. This was on television. Thank God it wasn't national television. Thank God it wasn't something that was like accessible like to everyone, you know? Like, it's gross. It's happened out here. It's happened out here to women. It's happened on like talk shows and stuff. Of like the male talk show hosts just getting a little too close to the actresses and stuff. And you could see the discomfort on these women's faces and they couldn't do anything but smile and keep working. You know? And for me, it's a dark thing. But of course, nothing can be done about it. But nothing will be done about it if no one talks. If nobody keeps bringing it into the light. Because again, I don't know him as an actor. I've never seen any of his work. So watching that is watching it a stranger to a stranger and watching a stranger be assaulted on TV and everyone laugh at it. And that his fans who care about him are like, how could you do that? And all this person is doing is sitting there and going, you're taking this, you know, you're doing too much with this. That happens, I hope you know, in Spanish culture. You know, your uncle didn't mean to do that. Your tío didn't.
I mean, it happens in all cultures. It literally happens in all cultures when it comes to sexual harassment, molestation, incest, and rape. Most of the time the victims are blamed, or people say, oh no, it was an accident, or you're overreacting. That happens in all cultures. But what I guess for me is, I know it's wrong, but I feel like the reason it's not being talked about is because his fans are listening to him and he doesn't want it talked about.
Yeah. Well, no, but this is what I'm trying to say, like, that's why, like from my viewpoint, I get what you're saying, that, but from my viewpoint, like, reading everything, he put out one singular tweet of, like a really sad face after the whole orange thing happened. So it was like, again, he's thinking that this woman's gonna have to sit down on screen, apologize, you know what I'm saying? Apologize to him, and the fans thought that too, because that's why the fans like went after the companies too. There was a bunch of tweets of the fans going after the company and also saying to the company, what the fuck is this? Like, what are you doing? This was not the plan. This was what? This was not the plan. Why is he apologizing? He shouldn't be apologizing. She should. You know? And then when you go, oh, that's a different country, the way they deal with things is different. Again, culturally, you're supposed to respect your elders. It's not say yes to what your elders do or say. Again, your elders shouldn't be putting their hand between your legs or up your shirt.
I mean, I agree, but it's also like, I'm not saying don't talk about it. I'm saying that maybe they have just redirected, but also the only people saying it's culturally a thing is that person.
know, some people like beforehand, like they were like when I was like reading through the tweets and stuff, there were some people who were saying, oh, like you can't like trying to say like you're just a fan, you don't know like their culture completely, and this, that, and the third. But again, it was more like I said, as a fan, you might think that you can cross that boundary too with your fave, you know? Or you could think, you know, not everyone's mindset is mature enough to sit there and know you can't do that, you know? Not everyone's mindset is mature enough to know not to do that, you know? A lot of these girls, they're fans of them because they're cute. They're fans of them because they're attractive, and they could sit there and deny all the hell they want. It would be the stupidest thing for you to sit there and admit in the comment section, oh, yeah, you're right, I only like them because they're handsome. That would be the dumbest thing. I mean, more balls to you, respect, you know, but...
I mean, not really. There's a lot of people that will say they are only fans of actors because they're cute.
Yeah, but that's so sad, because then it's like, you forget about their feelings, you forget about their boundaries, you forget about everything, because they're just a pretty face to you. And for me, it's almost like, because she wasn't going to be able to say it, you know, but for me, it was like, she was like, you know that this is stuff that you girls wish you could do to him. You know, she wouldn't have been able to say that. You feel me? If she couldn't say that, that would have buried her and burned her to the freaking ground. But she was able to say what she said, because again, we're in a different country with this practice of you're older, I'm younger. So it's like, how dare your fan try to screw up my career just for having a little fun with a nobody like you. That's how she came off. She came off just like that. Like there was...
Okay, so I guess my question is then, what is your conclusion for this? What do you want for it?
I want people to hear this, and I hope it can spark a more open discussion, because there is there are branches to the situation, so this won't be our last podcast on it. But I just want to give my best to the actor himself. You are younger than me, so as someone older, you know, I want to apologize for anyone who has ever said anything to you about them being older and using it to their advantage. Sorry, I haven't watched your series. I'm a squirrel.
I mean, I've watched it, so.
I'm a squirrel, and, you know, no offense to BL right now, but, you know, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, it's all come back to my life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Like I said, I've watched it, and I watch it for the same reason I watch Medea plays. So I don't, take what you will with that.
Yeah, what is that? well.
I mean, you know the argument, you know, sometimes you watch things because they so bad they good. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I happen to enjoy the show, though. I'm gonna say that. The acting is not bad. Just everything else in it.
Nice. But we'll don't worry, we'll make a podcast just for that, and we'll get into our feelings for that, especially if I have to sit down and watch it. And yeah, we're getting into that. But yeah. So like I said, just if you've also, so any listeners have been through a situation like this in any format, my apology is not going to do a lot. But as someone who knows that feeling all too well, just know I am sorry. Just know, hell is hot. It doesn't matter what your hell's gonna look like in your religion. That place is spicy. So you'll get yours, you know? It sucks that we have to wait, well, you know, for a long time. But you'll get yours. But yeah, anything you want to add?
No.
Alright, so this is our second podcast again. We'll be on podcast streaming sites. Please give us patience. We are just restarting, revving up, working out the kinks, putting oil in the machine. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't be afraid to hit us up. We'll keep all of our communication avenues open for you guys. Don't be afraid to express anything or anything. Just know you can't hurt my feelings. I wind up having a kid. She's better at it. Other than that, this has been Thoughts on Why. I'm your host, Allie.
I'm Jess.
And we will see you in our next podcast. Bye-bye.